In this video today, you will find all the steps I've taken to build a business to over 7 figures in revenue in just 2 years. At age 30, I became financially free with my passive income more than covering my expenses, and I sold part of my business based on a multi-million-dollar valuation. Even if you've run a business for years, months, or are just starting out, you'll want to check out these 7 essential tips. They will help you get to where you need to be. By the end of this video, you'll be more than equipped to get your business to 7 figures in revenue and your own journey to financial independence. First tip from me is to keep 6 months worth of expenses. The reason being is when I started my business, I came from a 6-figure corporate job. I was a very, very high-flying sales executive, made a lot of money, but still, it was to get that back up for me. So when I started the business and I was going to go to battle, shall we call it, I knew that everything was going to be okay, and it kept the wife on side as well. So tip number 1 is keep the 6 months worth of expenses. When you're starting the business, what you'll find is in your first 12 months, that typically it'll be quite hard to come by revenue. So having that buff in the background, you can either reinvest that in the business, you can either spend it on what you need to spend it for in your daily life. What I would say is this is really, really key. So number 1, do that. Tip number 2 from me is essential to have a business plan in place. Think of a business plan as your map to A and B. It needs to be clear and concise, and you need to know where you're going. Again, when I've started multiple businesses, I've always had a business plan. I mean, the biggest one I've had sort of 45 pages, to be honest with you, but yours doesn't need to be that. It can be 1 page. It doesn't have to be all bells and whistles. 1 page writing down what you want to achieve is absolutely key. So if you're trying to raise finance, if you're trying to go to suppliers to get credit, if you've got a clear, concise, again, not 45-page business plan, just a 1-pager, people will take you a lot more seriously. Now, there are 4 bits of a business plan that you need to have. First one is a business description. Think about when you're trying to create a goal in life. When I've always created goals, what I've always wanted to try and do is write it down, because for me, it's not really a goal if it's not written down. And all the goals I've written down in life have always come true. So firstly, get it on a piece of paper, the business description, whatever it is, whether it's a pet grooming business, whether it's a telecoms business like I've got, whatever it is, get it written down. Number 2 is a competitive analysis. This is really key, because what you need to do is you need to see what your competitors are doing well and not doing well. So if you can see that, what you can do is go, right, they do this well, that's great, I'm going to use that. They don't do that well, I'm going to improve on that. And what that will do, that will be able to make sure that your business is going to be very, very successful going forward. Number 3 is a sales and marketing plan. Sales is the lifeblood of any business. So with myself, as I said previously, I've got quite a strong sales background, and fortunately in that area, I'm really good. That doesn't mean you have to, to get to 7 figures, you don't have to be a great salesperson. You hire people. So that could be part of your sales and marketing plan. So whether, for example, if you're going to go on LinkedIn and you want to do that, put that in your plan. Whether you're going to use an email marketing tool, put that down. If you're a B2C business, are you going to advertise on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever it may be, just make sure that you've got it written down on that piece of paper so you know where you're going. So part of the business plan, you need to have the key financial information as well. And that consists of 3 different types of bits and bobs. So number 1, you need to have a profit and loss account. So if you don't know what a P&L is, P&L tells you how much profit you're making on a monthly, yearly, quarterly basis. And what I would do in any business plan with any financial information is project this over 5 years, which I'll come on to in a second. Secondly, cash flow forecast. In simple terms, that's cash coming into the business and cash going out of the business as well. So you can be the most profitable business in the world, but if you don't have a cash flow forecast and you don't know where your cash is, if you can make it 100,000 or 100 million a year, if you've not got enough cash to pay the bills, you're not going to be in business. Thirdly, and finally, you need to have a balance sheet. What a projected balance sheet will do is it will tell you essentially how much the business is worth at any given time. So in simple terms, a balance sheet is assets minus liabilities equals total equity. And the total equity at the bottom, you'll be able to then see how much your business is growing year on year. So again, if you have all these over a 5-year period and you're going to a bank or you're going to a supplier to get credit, what they'll allow you to do is it'll give you a lot of credence with that supplier or that bank, because if you want to lend money or you want to get credit terms, you need to make sure you're the real deal. So that's my tip for you. Tip number 3, get a mentor. Now, this is really, really important when you're starting any business. And there are 2 types of mentors. And I laugh at that because I've made these terms up on the spot, but there's an online and there's an offline mentor. So what an offline mentor means to me is someone that you can physically touch. However, what I would say is don't touch a mentor because it might be deemed inappropriate, but get an offline mentor. And the reason for that being is because if you can find someone that you can sit down, have a coffee with, chew the fat, and someone who's knowledgeable in business, that'll really, really help you. And typically people want to help you. Now, you might be thinking watching this, it's hard for me to get an offline mentor. You know, I just don't know anyone. My advice to you would be is do this. Go onto LinkedIn in your local area, whether you live in a city or a town, try and find someone that you know has been a successful person, whether they're driving a big, lovely Range Rover, or you just know they've got a lot of businesses. Go on LinkedIn, find them and just go, hey, John, it's Alan here. I know you do really well. I like your businesses. It's really, really good. I would love to have a 5-minute conversation. I'll buy the coffee, don't worry. Even though if he's a successful businessman, he doesn't need you to buy the coffee, but still, say you'll buy the coffee, you know, and typically what you'll find is 1 in 2 times, I'd say people come back to you. I've done it before and people say, yeah, no problem, because there's 2 things to this. 1, people like talking about themselves. They just do. You know, look at me on YouTube here, you know, doing this for you. I like talking about myself, obviously. But 2, people like to help. So they'll want to help you because once upon a time, someone will help them. And luckily, I've got numerous offline mentors. You know, I've got some that I work with now. I've got some that I have worked with. You know, sometimes you just gravitate away from them, not for any bad reason, just you gravitate away. But offline mentors are really, really good. However, if you feel you can't get access to that, online mentors are even easier to come by. What I mean by that is, I'll give you an example of me. So Robert Kiyosaki, who you probably all know of, wrote the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. That was what inspired me to get into business, actually, and taught about assets and liabilities. And there'll be another video on that in due course, don't worry. But he inspired me, and he's got a podcast, Rich Dad Radio Show. So if you look in the show notes, I'll put a link to that so you can actually go and listen to it, because it's really knowledgeable about all things personal finance, investing, and business. But you can get online mentors, they're everywhere. You know, we've got YouTube, you've got all sorts of social media which you can go to. So podcasts, there's property podcasts, there's any podcast that you deem that's relevant for your industry. There are many of them. There's so much information out there. So 2 types of mentors, just to finish up on: offline, online. Give it a go. You'll be absolutely fine. Tip number 4, geographical arbitrage. Now, little smile on my face on that, because I'm going to say this is a term I've coined, but I clearly haven't found this somewhere online, haven't I? But it's a great term. And what it basically means is you can leverage the planet for your business. So whatever your country of origin is where you trade, you don't need to hire in that country. And what I mean by that is there are so many great people out there that can help your business. So to give you an example, I'll do a little shout out. So my first ever hire for my telecoms business, Agility, was a guy called Ken, and he still works with me today. So Ken, if you're watching this, you're a great dude. You're great at what you do. Appreciate you watching as well. But he is fantastic. So he's based in the Philippines in a lovely place called Davao City, and he works remotely. Time difference is not a problem for him. I think there's about 6-7 hours ahead, and he works UK hours in our business. So there's so much great talent out there. You know, not just the Philippines. There's like South Africa. So my assistant Christina, she's based in a lovely part of Cape Town in the wine country. There's India, which have some great back-end developers, all sorts over the world. So you can leverage great talent by looking across the globe. Don't just think this is going to save you money. I mean, it could do. I mean, you know, costs are obviously lower in different parts of the world. Of course they are, but there was so much talent out there. My only advice would be, which I'll come on to a bit later on as well, is just make sure you get the right talent for your business. But again, I've got a mixture of people across my businesses, UK, South Africa, Philippines, et cetera, et cetera. But geographical arbitrage, honestly, it transformed my business to where I am today. Okay, tip number 5, surround yourself with winners. So I've just been on the previous point about geographical arbitrage, and this links in really, really well. The mistake I made when I started my businesses and hiring people was, you know, you'd get someone through the door, whatever medium that was, whether it was LinkedIn or use an online hiring site, and they're like, yeah, you're going to start in the business. You're great. Come in now. If you don't surround yourself with winners, what you'll find is you will not get the right team. And it took me quite a while to learn this. So please take heed of this advice, because you'll get to be where you want to be so much quicker than I was by vetting candidates, doing multiple interviews, doing first interview, second interview, third interview, final interviews. Vet the candidates, because if you surround yourself with winners, what you'll find is you'll get exponential growth in the business a lot quicker than I have. Tip number 6, make sure you invest in the right systems. If you want to reach that 7 figures and you want to go from either 5, 6 or you're a startup, you need to have the right systems in place. To give you an example, in my businesses across 2 of them, we use a product called Zoho One. So Zoho One is not just a CRM, it does everything in your business. It can be your full ecosystem, ranging from your billing for your customers, from your accountancy software, if you're going to do signable solutions online when you're sending contracts to people, for example, ticketing desks, all sorts. So make sure you invest in the right systems. If you don't, listen, if you either want to just be really small or you want to be 5 or 6, there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. But I assume if you're watching this video, you want to get 7 figures like I have. Make sure you invest in the system. In the show notes below, I've got a link to Zoho One. Have a look at all the features. I think there's a free trial as well. Go on there, take a look. Make sure that you use it, because that will transform your business and help you get to that 7 figures in revenue. Last but not least, tip number 7 from me is, what is your why? It's quite deep, this, so please take note and get a piece of paper as well, because you're going to need it. What I mean by this is, everyone wants to get to 7 figures, or they go, I want to earn £1 million a year. But if you've not got like a goal or an aspiration behind it, you simply just won't get there. So think about it. Get your piece of paper out. Start writing as I'm doing this video, or after. It's up to you. What do you want to do? Do you want to retire your parents? Do you want to be financially free? There's lots of different reasons. Do you want to save the world? You know, do you want to save anything? Do you want to save the dolphins, for example? Whatever it is, what is your why is really, really key. And I'd probably say this is the part of the video which you really need to listen to, because this is the self-reflection part where you need to go away and find out what you want to achieve. Honestly, if you just say, I want to earn £1 million, get 7 figures, and you don't know why, then just forget it. You won't do it. What is your why? Really key. Get your piece of paper out and get writing it down. If you've liked this video, please like and subscribe to the channel. And I also have a bonus PDF where if you go to the description in the show notes and click the link, you'll receive my 5 essential tips for getting your start off the ground. Please leave me some comments below on how your journey is going. I'd really love to hear how you're getting on. Thanks so much for watching, and see you in the next one.